feels like you've really accomplished something if you've started drinking before noon on a weekday. It's the little things.
Welcome to the edge of nowhere. They're playing games at the edges of what we know. Monster Lore Tour Podcast. All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 89 of the Monster Lore Tour Paranormal Deep Dives from the Edge of Nowhere podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Carr, here along with my co-host and the Babbitt to my cat Stello.
Oh, boy.
Mr. Meow-O-Zero, a.k.a. the Moz. How are we doing today, Moz?
Even that's obscure for me, and I'm like older than you.
Ooh, do I love me some Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, that's right.
Super obscure Bugs Bunny
It was
reference.
Costello cat. As
Two
Babbitt and
cats
Costello's cats.
that walked around on their hind legs like
Yep.
people and talked like people.
Yep.
And they were a total just knockoff of Abbott and Costello
Yeah.
back in the day. So they were Babbitt and Cat Stello.
There you go. And they were good. I mean, Costello did a nice job. Who cares? Abbott, who cares?
Oh, yeah, dude. The Looney Tunes. It's all good.
Yep.
You can't go wrong with any of it.
That's right.
You know?
So,
But I asked you how you were doing today, Mom.
I'm skipping that question. Under protest. This is a strange time we live in. We don't do that kind of podcast here.
You are
but
the
we live in
Babbitt.
a strange time. Hey, Babbitt. But I do.
Hey, Babbitt!
But I have to say, you
I'm
might
so
want
bad
to
at
check
that.
out some of our other Shapeshifter episodes before you start this one. 4, 12, 22. I made those up. I have no idea.
Let's see.
You can't do it anymore. We took a hiatus.
Yeah, there's a lot of them is the thing. But yeah, if you
It doesn't matter. This
yeah,
is
you
just
can
about
scroll
where
through
cats
and you'll see
enjoy.
the Shapeshifters.
You're in the right place. I do have a new slogan for us, though. Monster Lore Tour, where rampant paranormal speculation meets robust rapasato-y goodness. Can that fit on a T-shirt, do you think?
So crazy tequila people is what you
Yes,
said.
the tequila. I want
Yeah,
a
that's
tequila
pretty
rabbit, a little of that
pretty fitting.
flavor in there. If you haven't checked out Rabbit Lore, for some reason, that's a good episode.
The Leap Day special, episode 28. I got that one.
Threw that together in 2 weeks, and we like that one.
Our special for February 29th is episode 28.
Wow.
Isn't that weird?
That does make sense. Oh, yeah. Right. Oh, I get that. It's a
Yeah.
leap day thing.
Yeah.
So, but tonight we deep dive the leopard and other big cat shapeshifters, from leopard spirits to witches who keep leopards to shamans who become lions, leopards, and tigers. But before we get started, I have a moo quote. A little bit about the cryptidy foreplay, right, Jeremy?
I'm not sure how to answer that question.
Either does El Guapo. Sorry. I love the Three Amigos. I don't know why nobody liked that movie. But this poem comes from Legends and Myths of the Aboriginal Indians of British Guiana, 1880, which I found in sacredtext.com. Spots to show that nightly ranging, so do their sorcerers declare. He into a jaguar changing, could his victim seize and tear, as the werewolf of the east prowls on human flesh to feast. So we have
Wow.
werewolves and leopards, but it's about the Bantu, so I guess it's the British, some British guy probably commenting and connecting the werecat to the wolf of the east lore.
Very 19th century sort of sound to it
Yeah,
there,
yeah. But that's where we're heading today. Some of these parts, we're actually going to be in Africa and South America today, so we're definitely going to be roaming.
Southern
a little bit.
hemisphere stuff.
Exactly. Equatory stuff, too, so...
I like going to the other side sometimes.
But for this episode, we're not exploring unusually large cats in anomalous places. Maybe we'll circle back for some of those, the Beast Exmoor, the Blue Tiger, China, the Wampus Cat of Tennessee, and the like. But this section is reserved for cryptoid-type shapeshifters.
Nice.
Remember Cryptoid from episode 1? We made that distinction, or somebody did, and we were just kind of commenting. There's cryptids, which are monsters in the woods. Cryptoids get a little bit weirder.
We had Cryptoid Palooza, which included Glimmerman, Black Stick People, and the Mirrored Men.
Exactly. So
to give you an idea.
Give you an idea of it gets a little bit stranger in some of those subreddits for sure. But the middle of that range, we get more astrally, and at the end of that range, we get this full transition from man to giant cat. So we've got the shaman piece. We've got a lot going on here today, basically. I will be spending most of our time tonight off the coast of Africa, deep in the Indo-Burmese jungles. But it's interesting to note many of the cats of North America even have this shapeshiftery reputation as well. The aforementioned Wampus cat of Tennessee is rumored to be half woman, half mountain lion, thereby deserves a mention. And the Navajo have, of course, we've talked about the chindi, anything that walks on two legs.
Right.
But mountain lions are one of the flavors we see from the chindi as well.
The chindi was the one we tied into the Stephen King one there, right? The Sleepwalkers or whatever it was called. The cat people.
Yeah, I mean, what episode was that?
Oh, God.
Yeah, we're going back.
Yeah.
We're going back.
It's too many now.
When
When you get close to 100, like my brain breaks
You're doing
down.
so good. You're doing so good.
There's certain ones I can still pull out, but I can't do them all anymore.
But I wanted to give them an honorable mention by mentioning them honorably. But shape-shifting cats appear wherever the more zoological varieties and known species tend to roam. So wherever we find an apex predator, we also find the local shaman linked to that beastie. From African were-crocodiles to coyote shaman of the U.S. Southwest, were-tigers in Asia, or even were-hyenas out of Africa, or dogman running around the middle of this country, for that matter.
Cats and dogs.
Living together. Mass hysteria.
Madness in the streets.
You usually do that. I'm sorry. I was just waiting for
I
that.
forgot my cue.
Just like looking at you expectantly. What's happening? I'm thinking early Aho guanophile, kind of a fire hydrant trail cam for the dog man. What do you think about that, huh? No one's thought of that. Like but even the common cats are not immune to all this folklore. As we have seen already, they're inexplicably linked to the witch. Remember what we found in that Goat Man episode from somewhere back in the mausoleum? According to Man, Myth, and Magic, quote, the earliest representation of a witch is to be found in the western doorway of Lyon Cathedral in France in early 14th century. Sculpted panel, a hag is shown riding on the back of a goat and whirling what appears to be a cat in her left hand.
That's right. Now I do remember that.
And whirling keeps coming.
That's where the Simpsons got it.
Yeah.
The crazy cat lady. But throwing the cats
I think
at people.
they got that from Python, but lots of cat abuse in Python as well. So there's a long history of cat abuse.
That's where Python got it.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll have to go back. It goes back to Sumer at some point.
Right.
There's some cat abuse in Babylon that we'll find.
There has always been the crazy cat lady.
Always been the crazy cat lady. But basically, in any shamanic-based tribe, nearly anywhere in the world, the apex predator, often a big cat, surfaces as the totems, the familiars, and were creatures by choice. But jungles are places where whirling a cat is less advised. They're much larger, so proceed with caution.
Catch the tiger by its tail, man.
Yeah, but there are some variations tonight in Were-Catville, as we shall see. Most of tonight's episode comes from one primary source, which I've quoted here on MLT before, Samantha Hurn's pivotal work, Anthropology and Cryptozoology. I don't think I have given her mad cujos. Still, I might have.
Really? I feel like I've heard that name enough that we have. We can do it again, though.
Yeah.
Samantha Hurn's?
Let's do mad cujos, see what happens.
Mad cujos.
Damn boy!
I feel like it worked. I heard it. I feel like I heard it in my head.
Felt good.
I felt I heard the, that little sound in
that
my
little
head. Yeah, exactly. I think we're good. I decided from the get-go here at MLT that I didn't want to do all the monsters of a given area, forest, state, province, or country, even though that's John Keel's approach, by the way. He really thought, that's kind of, he created that. He went into Point Pleasant, West Virginia, and everything just went batshit, and he was looking at everything. He went from Mothman, stay for the Men in Black.
Yeah, there's portals there, man.
I just felt like I wanted to do, because I got this little Jungian thing going, looking at a creature and looking at the symbolism, looking at what it might mean and focusing on one. That's the decision I made at the time. So John Keel can do his own thing, but I think it's worked out here to some degree, in my opinion, to look at the theory of a specific beastie,
Yeah, I like the genre approach. because I've heard the area approach before. I like the fact that you're doing the genre approach.
Yeah, that way we could do the history of the animal, the symbol, the astrological stuff, the demonological.
You get into a different angle of information.
Yeah. So we will be hitting up some cat shapeshifters tonight and big cat shaman revenge sorcery.
Ooh.
So on that note,
sorcery.
if you can leave a strand of your hair and a small glob of spit in this plastic bag, Jeremy, just in preparation for next week's episode,
you should collect other people's hair.
It'll be fine. As for location, again, cat shapeshifters pop up everywhere, especially if you forget to change their litter box. But we'll be focusing most of our efforts in Africa, Zanzibar to be precise, before heading to the Indo-Burmese borderlands to discuss the Naga tiger men of the Anagami peoples. But again, these are not the only places we find big cat shapeshifters. Japan boasts the Bakaneko, Bakeneko, who are immortal cat-like beings. Eventually they become adept over the centuries at language and shapeshifting, usually good or bad depending on the color of their fur. They tend to be quite mischievous. You always have that trickster element.
Yeah.
Sort of like the kitsune, the fox.
I mean, that's why they're shapeshifters, right? And that's, it's for the trickster.
It's one of the things you need, basically. In his Real Monsters and Gruesome Critters, Brad Steiger mentions a were-tiger demon spirit lurking in the shadows of the mountains of Tibet. The lore of this beast seems more guardian, elemental-like protector of the land, as we come across here often. In which case it drains the person almost more like a psychic vampire. So it's a bit more cryptoid than flesh and blood, but it is known to be a consummate shapeshifter as well.
It's like a spirit walker kind of thing.
Yeah, and Steiger also covers the Tigre Capiango, and I don't know, there's an exclamation point that was a clicking sound for like that in other places. But in Argentina, this is a jaguar shapeshifter, but this one is from Werewolf Book Encyclopedia of Shapeshifting, which will be in the show notes.
Nice.
Those individuals in the central Argentine provinces of Santa Fe and Cordoba who can change themselves into jaguars, though the magical application of great cat skin fragments and incantations are known as Tigre Capiango. You can do the click now, maybe. in the Cueca region, Quechua, such jaguar people are known as the Runa o Toronco, and in the Guiana region as Yagareta Aba, as in the European traditions of lycanthropy. These sorcerers voluntarily seek to accomplish the transformation from human into animal for purposes of individual empowerment. So it's the Siththerer route, as we call it here.
Individual empowerment.
Exactly. Not for the good of the community. Right.
Yeah, I like that we said that together because it was community.
Exactly. Before we move away from Steiger, the other thing I found in his work of note is how both in Egypt and in Africa, the leopard can be a psychopomp guiding souls to the afterlife. We see that very common with lots of critters.
Okay.
And a bit north on that same continent, South America, we find a similar jaguar shapeshifter. Here's Teresa Bain discussing the Sinaa, S-I-N-A-A. I don't know how to say that. A hybrid monstrosity from Brazilian folklore, Sinaa was born of the union between a woman and a gigantic jaguar. Described as being humanoid in appearance, he was born with an ancient appearance, meaning his eyes were set in the back of his head. He is sometimes considered to be an ancestral progenitor of the Yuruna people who live along the Xingu River. Sinaa has the ability to rejuvenate himself when he removes the skin by pulling it over the top of his head, with hilarious consequences. See, I could just change the whole thing.
This.
I added that part, but you can change it just with something like that.
You want to see something really scary?
Exactly. Twilight Zone. But that was from Teresa Bain's Encyclopedia of Beasts and Monsters. But more about jaguar shapeshifting when we shift to the Amazon, discuss the dark Canaima. But that skin removal piece is part of the transformational process. That surfaces again. Remember, we had this in the Kushtaka, where it's like the skin, the inside and the internal organs and everything is the inner, and the skin and out is the outer for some tribes.
Right, the flesh is malleable.
Yeah, it's like a different ontological way to look at things. And the opposite would be like the hara of like in Eastern Buddhism practices, where the energy in the body is extended, further.
Right.
So there's different ways of looking at it. There's tribes that it starts at the skin and is outer, and then there's times where the skin doesn't really end you. For the hara,
I experience that. Excuse me. I experience that when I do breath work and stuff. Like I can feel my energy expand beyond my physical body.
Yeah, I think the expanders are probably in a better position potentially than the contractors. If you're making your world smaller and smaller, that's you. I don't know. Boundaries in general are an issue, as we'll get to. But another interesting part of the Sine lore, according to Bain, there's a prophecy involving these cats in which this creature removes the pole linking heaven and earth. So a jaguar monster knocked down their axis mundi. This happened to us, if you recall, back in our
Walker.
Our cursed episode. You spilled tequila and you knocked the axis mundi, your little world tree, over. And this has implications if that really had happened in like you can't. The shaman can't go up and down for medicine to help the community. After you die, there's implications for that. It's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, they did not want us doing those episodes, I don't think. The very first one we tried to do on the skin
Walker
caused us more problems. It was harder to get done than all the other episodes combined.
But that's why we don't knock the world tree over. I don't know what came first, the chicken or the egg with that. I think it was a cursed episode from the beginning.
Yeah,
and that was just something that ended up happening.
We tried. We had to record in 3 different places, and we still couldn't get it come out really right.
Yeah, it was interesting. We've never had that again.
The audio still wasn't good. I finally was able to remaster it on YouTube. It's all right.
Yeah.
On the audio platforms, it still came out
The George
bad.
Lucas remastered version of our podcast is much better. Yeah,
much better.
Much better.
That's why you got to sell it to Disney at some point.
We're all Disney now.
We're all Disney now.
Disney.
We all float down here.
One of us. That's a terrible Disney one of us. If it's a small world ride, is that what one of us? One of us. The kids are going to be like, Mommy, I don't want to go here anymore.
Mickey Mouse voice.
Kids running out of Disneyland. That's the future, kids. That's what's coming. But even that Bain quote, we have this progenitor piece. The myth versus lousy with them. Remember the reindeer being part of the circumpolar tribes, the subarctic. We had the monkey clans of Tibet with, mating with women, part of the Yeti lore. And we'll return to the jaguar and some of their related symbolism again when we discuss the Dark Kanaima next week, or the evil that cat men do. I don't know if we're going to call it that. I don't know if we're going to call it that yet.
The evil that cat men do.
I kind of have another title. We'll see which ones. But before we deep dive, I did come across some random cat shapeshifters in my other readings. So anthropologists are sometimes faced with unsettling tales of people shape-shifting into werecats. But before we jump to the African leopard, our main destination tonight, anthropologists do mention jaguar sorcery and shape-shifting elsewhere. Ellen Basso, when she was doing her classic work with the Kalapao tribe of the Amazon basin, again, South America, she mentions a story wherein, quote, a man was grotesquely devoured by jaguar sorcerers piece by piece.
Yeah.
Which sounds like the leopard men of Sierra Leone.
The piece by piece part makes it so much worse.
Well, it's just, there's nothing more to it. And I didn't, you can't tell from that whether these jaguar sorcerers were just like the leopard men, where they were just steel claw kind of folks, or whether this was more of a cryptoidal situation where you met some creature, some half creature that tore them apart.
Right.
Sadly, I don't know any more than that. And there's nothing more in that book, because believe me, I looked. But Samantha Hurn's aforementioned here for Anthropology and Cryptozoology, her book has an important Scully Muggle rendition on this particular African leopard, as relayed by anthropologists Martin T. Walsh and Helle V. Goldman, their chapter. They explored why this leopard, thought to be extinct, quote, is still widely believed to exist both as a zoological species and as a witch's familiar.
Nice.
There's a kind of common in the jungle from the Amazon to be,
Jaguar is a great familiar, dude.
Yeah.
That's like full-on Beastmaster level.
There's nothing wrong with that. Better than those little weasels, right? I mean, what the heck was
the weasels are maybe the most useful ones of the whole crew, man.
But they remind me of the ice weasels, which scare me.
They got him the key to get out of the prison cell. Like, he's a dead man without those
We're going to end tonight's episode and discuss and review the Beastmaster with Mark Harmon.
It's about time.
It's about time. It's about time we ended my episodes, or about time we talked about Beastmaster more. Damn you. But let's start off the deep dive of this leopard palooza with the missing in action. Or is it the Zanzibar leopard, Panthera pardus adersi? This part of the leopard lore from this region involves something called a kept leopard. And no, it's not the Def Leppard drummer. He did not lose his arm to a big cat attack. I checked on the Jewel. Yeah. That's the first where my mind went.
A leopard?
A kept leopard. We'll get to that.
That's interesting.
Yep. It is a practice that intertwines the owner with the beastie to some degree, but the enmeshment aspect is fuzzy. So again, we are in Zanzibar, hunting for a form of bonding or domesticated leopard, as reported by the Angami tribe. Is there a therianthropic hybridization component? THC. I think THC has been taken.
Is there a domestication component? Have people been dealing with them for so long that maybe there is a certain, clan of cat that has become at least partially domesticated, maybe?
Yes. And that is
imagine having a panther as a pet.
And that's,
dude,
that's badass. But in this region of the world, namely a small island, this called Zanzibar off the coast of Africa, it's kind of like the Tasmanian tiger. The Zanzibar thing was there and it's been gone in, I think, like the 1960s. But this region boasts ongoing sightings. Even more interesting to a monster podcast, there's also the spirit type version of this leopard beastie, which is prepared to protect and avenge as well. And these stories are still kind of around and about the Horn today. So never shake a bag of temptation treats in Zanzibar. Results may vary.
So it's the guardian spirit thing again, like you were saying a little earlier.
Yeah, but the cryptoid side, we have the shaman side, we have this kept leopard, what you talked about, maybe just a leopard that's starting to hang out and getting free food and is cool with the connection. But here's what kept leoparding, here's how it really works, according to the tribe, which again I got from Walsh and Goldman. There's three main ways to tie yourself to one of these beasties. One, someone in your family may have an existing kept leopard arrangement, but the owner is getting up in years, so they pass the love forward, or they just pass on, leaving the animal to someone else via LegalZoom, unavailable in Namibia.
Yikes.
Number two, you can purchase one from someone who owns a kept leopard. That apparently does happen.
You can buy them?
Yes.
That doesn't sound...
This is usually between people who know each other. It's not a Bezos... that's the Amazon.
Oh, okay. So it's still a personal level kind of thing.
Yeah. It's not like, hey, it's not going to, no one wants to be known as having a kept leopard. Yeah. So you have to trust the person. This is a trusted person you're handing off the kept leopard to.
Gotcha.
The other way, number three, there's a technique to woo a leopard by offering of a magical food called dawa, D-A-W-A.
I want some.
Usually this occurs when an owner will allow a would-be leopard owner to tag along, usually for a price, and through a series of gradual habituating and feeding procedures over the course of several days, eventually the cat becomes habituated and the new owner has a bouncing baby leopard to bring back to the ranch.
Yeah, there you go. That's how you tame the beast, right?
Yep.
Make friends and feed them.
So there's this food provisioning piece, or luring and gradually gaining the leopard's trust. But these anthropologists also speak of a spirit intermediary, which plays a role between the leopard and the human, and these spirits are called mashetani, or possessory spirits. So it's not exactly a totem animal, a different kind of go-between, really just a variation of a theme or a previous, I think it's a variation of a theme.
I mean, is that kind of like the familiar kind of concept?
Yeah, but they're talking about possessory spirits kind of coordinating between an animal and a human. And usually it's just the animal already and the human. So there's a different...
Well, you're full on combining your energies to become a single thing.
Well, we're going to get into that ontonic. Is it an ontonic relationship like the were-crocodiles?
This is very heart energy stuff here.
It'll come into that. But this is weird.
You have to sync your heart rhythms with the beast.
But there's a spirit kind of stepping in between the man and the animal. And usually with a shaman, it's just the spirit animal and the man. So there's this extra go between. It's a slight variation, I think. Mm-hmm. The mashetani. So it's not exactly a totem animal thing. I think it's like a derivative of, to some degree,
Yeah.
But once this deal is struck, owners can apparently summon the cat by knocking sticks together. And you know what I was thinking? It would be really embarrassing if you accidentally get a Sasquatch.
I literally had that same thought as soon as you said it.
But, sorry, Mr. Foot.
That's how you call a squatch.
Have you seen my cat? And then you don't take a picture.
Show up and then they can wrestle.
There you go.
Maybe your panther and your bear fighting.
I don't know. Yeah, that could happen, I suppose. I have not heard that happening, but we have to keep scouring the Reddit subgroups until
it's out there somewhere.
It's out there somewhere. We have to ask Chat. I know stuff now. We have to ask ChatGPT. I heard about this stuff.
Oh, geez.
This guy's smart.
Yeah.
He's like the Cliff Clavin of the Wicca.
Yeah,
Nazis.
a lot of it's just made up on the spot, though.
But
can't trust that AI, man.
No, I know,
not
man.
for that.
No,
It's really helpful for a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, but not for that.
Yeah, no, I get you. Not for important work we do at crypto. I mean, it's important.
Not for free thinking.
If you need medicine advice or lawyering, you should use ChatGPT. You're doing important work about crypto stuff. You don't want to just mess around with that. You got to go to the real sources.
You want to get Moz's script down from 30,000 words to 12,000 words. That's what ChatGPT is for. Get this down to 12,000 words.
I'm going to have to help. You're going to have to help me help myself.
There you go.
But these leopards actually often directly move in with their new owners into the witch's house, so to speak. Sometimes actually they stay under the bed. So locals often report leopards coming and going out of the dwellings, which is a dead giveaway that there's a kept leopard on the premises. It's like pussy galore.
You see a leopard sneaking out the back door repeatedly.
Yeah.
You're pretty sure what's going on at that point.
What's going on there is probably, you figured it out.
Like, was that a leopard?
Yep.
Can you imagine, like, just casually looking out your window and you see a leopard walking out your neighbor's house and you're like, is that a leopard?
Yeah. The other giveaway, though, is sometimes the kept leopard is seen wearing anklets or earrings, which is another sign of this domestication process. Sometimes such behaviors are reported to authorities, but usually people are too scared for retribution. They don't actually report these things.
Yeah. Well, it's an intimidating thing.
Yeah.
And it's so just sounding like they're domesticating big cats.
Yeah, and here's...
Which is a wild concept, because even the little cats
no, it's
aren't
not.
technically
It's domestic
domesticated.
concept. You just messed that whole sentence up.
Touche, Boz.
Yeah.
Touche.
But these folks who keep these leopards often set up breeding populations for cash, or they use the beast to hunt for them, or they can instill fear or induce illness in the community, or sometimes they're simply guard leopards guarding property, livestock, and whatnot.
Yeah, imagine having a panther as a guard dog.
It's just badass.
That's awesome.
Remember in Were-cracks, we had Were-cracks. God. Remember Were-cracks, we had all these different totem-style encounters for normal crocodiles that embody the village totem animal, or crocodiles that are actually shamans taking crocodile form. This is a somewhat different arrangement. We still have a wild leopard, Chiwa Muatuni, and these kept leopards, Chiwa Kafugwa, which are often kept by witches or shaman-type individuals called Waxhawe Wabaya. Yeah, I know.
Waxhawe Wabaya.
There's a lot of mouthfuls there. But apparently these kept leopards, as generally hanging closer to the villages, eating livestock or intimidating their locals is kind of what they do. But wild leopards tend to stick to themselves out in the jungle and are not typically sent out to the corner store for cigarettes.
Yeah, they're like ghostly. You don't see them.
Yeah,
like ever.
You catch glimpses.
It's like the mountain lion and
unless they're coming for you, you're not going to have a close encounter.
Oh.
But it's not always a one leopard, one keeper arrangement. Several people can share a leopard, apparently. In fact, there's been the creation of these leopard sharing associations. And as Walsh and Goldman explained, they are very organized, like witches' guilds.
Hey, you want to buy a timeshare?
Well, this is worse. It's like very Pratchett-y. There's like it's like a leopard guild.
Yeah.
You want to play the Terry Tarot Discworld Divination? I can set up the books again.
Oh, boy.
But there's also this Pingu charm, a way to designate a target by getting someone to unknowingly carry such a charm. It's like sneaking catnip into someone's pocket down in
That's
the
some voodoo stuff right there.
Yes, exactly. Or the telepak. I don't know how to say these words anymore. Tupalak.
Oh, the Tupalak.
Yeah. But give your enemy one of these charms, and the panther soon hones in on the victim. I think something like that happened to Greg Brady when he was surfing. Do you remember that episode?
There you go.
Exactly.
There you go.
I think it's the same thing.
The cursed totem thing.
It wasn't a wave. There was a cat. What I'm saying. That's a terrible example.
That was a spider.
That was a spider.
Oh, no, that was Gilligan.
You know, you're never more than 6 feet from a werewolf.
Wasn't there a spider involved in that whole Brady thing? I don't really remember.
I don't know. It's gone too far back. And that was a terribly small wave. Like, what happened?
Yeah.
Like, they couldn't film a bigger wave and, like, get a stunt double.
Yeah,
Get Marcia to
scare
do
white
it. Marcia
people.
could deal with a bigger wave than
They
that.
just needed to scare the white people. It was big enough for that.
The other problem is when an owner uses this dark magic to harass an individual, such a situation can disrupt the entire community. They even cite instances where entire villages were abandoned because of places where such leopard stalking behavior was prevalent. It reminds me of Wendigo lore when whole towns in Canada were either wiped out or abandoned due to the Wendigo activity, which we're going to get to at some point.
Yeah, I mean, everybody starts dying.
Yeah.
You're not going to want to stick around very long.
If someone specific is targeted, they become sick and may actually erupt leopard hair. It's like Witches of Eastwick. If you're Jack Nicholson, Life's a Bowl of Cherries, remember that scene?
You know what I just thought of is the guy that gets
Did
turned
you think
into
of Jack Nicholson?
No, I thought of Thinner from Stephen King. The guy that gets turned into the alligator and starts turning into like getting all scaly and stuff.
Yeah. King likes those transformations. It was very, Kafkaesque.
That's one of my favorite ones from him, actually.
Yeah.
Thinner. That was a great little book.
Yep. And we see a lot of the same threats, illnesses, and a revenge sorcery that we find in other regions, but here it comes in were-tiger form. Here's these same researchers from that law firm of Goldman and Walsh recounting this tale. An old hunter in Charaway described being taken by his maternal grandfather's brother to a spirit shrine, Mzimu, in a cave near the coast. They went there to make offering and seek a cure for his wife's sickness. When they were there, a leopard emerged from the cave. This wasn't really a leopard, he said, and it wasn't kept, but it was a shatani, or spirit that would attack the witch that had caused his wife's illness. She subsequently recovered. Other interviewees told us that the leopards could become invisible, like witches themselves.
So there's free roaming ones, too, that can do bad.
This is the spirit. Yeah, the spirit, the total cryptoid one, which it sounds like, they didn't finish the story, but it sounds like maybe this thing then goes out, not only does it heal the woman who was sickened, it goes avenging the person who caused it. It's a revenge sorcery in spirit were-tiger form kind of thing.
Nice.
So in Zanzibar,
revenge tiger.
Exactly. But in Zanzibar, we have kept leopards, which can act on behalf of humans through an intermediary called a mashatani, or per that last bit, there is a more fully cryptoid class version, just a spirit leopard called a shatani. We will return to this in our theories. I think we do.
Shatani.
But there's also a common trope wherein the leopard owner, the person who has caused the illness or problem, will show up to mess with the target of the night before. So the person, the sorcerer, kind of shows up the next day. It's like, hey, you're not feeling well. Cat got your tongue, that kind of thing. They kind of mess with you, which is kind of awful. And that's more of that intimidation piece.
Do you feel better, meow?
Yeah, exactly. So there's this ongoing...
Meow, are you feeling, Moz?
Meow, are you feeling? But for this reason, leopards are generally feared and reviled in these regions. So are the witches themselves. But if you're harassed by one or threatened, there is a ritual, a reading called a halbidril, Halbidire, a way to fight back via sorcery. But even if you inadvertently just touch one of these kept leopards or injure it in any way, or God forbid kill it, the owner may seek revenge. If a victim tries to get a shaman to help with some revenge sorcery, the leopard in question is often moved around between owners or lent to friends or other members of the coven, which can help to elude any potential harm from such a revenge curse. So there's this battle that starts.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Yep.
It's like if you're the actual keeper of the kept leopard, you got some power in the community, I would think.
But how do you kill a leopard accidentally? It's like, well, I was whittling Martha, and then I killed an apex predator. I don't know.
Yeah, accidentally. It's weird. I mean, if it comes at you and you got to kill it, and you actually manage to kill it before it kills you, you could, I guess, consider that accidentally in a way.
You could be hunting, and there could be something.
Yeah, just you stumble upon each other.
Yep.
And there's a battle.
According to Walsh and Goldman, kept leopards can return to the wild after his keeper dies. They may simply return to the forest. Another call of the wild, but I bet when they get back into the... I'm just thinking, though, if they get back with their friends and they're still wearing those anklets and earrings, it's probably a tough transition.
Check
it's like,
out my bling.
We know where you've been. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's going to be a great transition back to the wildcats, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But now let's head northeastward into these Indo-Burmese borderlands and shift from leopards to tigers to explore the work of anthropologist Michael Heniese, who went in search of the Naga were-tiger, or what inhabitants of the region and a tribe called the Ngami referred to as Tecumseh. Often these are tigers, but sometimes leopards as well. They do share some commonalities with their Zanzibarian cousins. For one, they are both different chapters of the same primary source, Hurn's Cryptozoology and Anthropology. Coincidence? Probably, because I read the whole book. Yeah, but in this side of the world,
they're all
they're all related, and that's why they're in the same book. I mean, they're anthropologists who come across very similar themes, and they're starting to talk a little bit differently about it. And I think that's what I like about Yasmin Musherbash's group with Monster Anthropology and Hurn's group with Merz and Heniese and these folks that are dealing with they have a different way of looking at shapeshifters, and they have a bit more respect in some ways for the way that people believe these things to exist, and the real effects that they seem to be witnessing, they're not ignoring that. Why those things come up, they don't go into that, and obviously, probably nor should they, but they have a little more respect for what might be going on in some of these tribes and how weird things get in the jungle, basically. This side of it gets a little more Sharon Merz with that ontonic, more enmeshed soul kind of stuff. Heniese's Tigers Exploration, he kind of researched were crocodile phenomenon as well, so he actually comments on this. Quote, there are several similarities. Tiger men share a common kinship with the animal and have an animate relationship. It is part of the tiger men's destiny. They inherit the ability to body shift or soul transfer, as Heniese describes it, as their soul leaves their human bodies whilst in a deep dream state and enter the bodies of tigers or leopards. Finally, tiger men suffer the same injuries as a tiger or leopards.
Wow, so full-on Beastmaster, yeah.
Well, it's the same as the lycanthrope. It's the same kind of trope where the hunter shoots someone and then they think they're killing the beast, and then the person turns back into a person, or he's laying in bed, but you
killed Larry.
Right. Yeah, end up having the same. And we've heard both stories where people are in bed and just sharing a mind with this creature running through the woods. And there's other ones where we've talked about they shot this buffalo and the guy goes home wounded and says, this is the guy that shot me, go do something about it. So we have the whole spectrum of these scenarios playing out.
The pheasant guy.
Yeah.
That really old quote you had me read once.
Yeah, probably.
The guy shot at a pheasant, and the next day the guy was like, why were you shooting at me yesterday?
Well, that was another one, but where he's not really the bird, I think, flying. I think he is laying in bed, but he's sharing the eyes of the bird.
He is the bird in that moment.
In that moment.
In a way.
Right, because
energetically.
If he was shot, would he just die in bed? But again, we have these stories where people are actually the animal shot, same wound, crawling back home to die kind of thing. Right. So they're both variations of that in what we've come across in the literature. Does seem very reminiscent of her and her husband, Johannes's concept of ontonic pairing with the Baba Libe again, that soul enmeshment dealio. This one gets closer to that, in my opinion. We always talk about Jadzia Dax. That was the example we gave from Deep Space Nine of this soul-sharing kind of scenario. But here's Merz again, same study from the Were-crocs, capturing the wide range of big cat shape-shifting and a breakdown of the types on that darkest of continents, known as Africa. Quote, the wee panther men of Côte d'Ivoire, that's along the Ivory Coast of Africa, by the way, use a combination of mimesis and medicines. As with Yugashur, Siberia, there is no physical transformation. The panther men's mimesis and medicines, however, result in the panther spirit possessing them. Although Pratton, 2007, focuses on the Anang leopard men of southern Nigeria, he documents further cases of leopard men in West and Central Africa whose shape-shifting abilities were due to mimesis and medicines, or in the case of the Iron Men of Tanganyika, witchcraft. Both Gibelhone's and Pratton's accounts involve secret societies, initiation, and violence. That's what we talk more about next week, by the way. Pratton notes that all the different big cat men cases share the following common features: ritual, resistance, and the social cleavages of gender and generation. He adds that common to all the human leopard accounts are apparently indeterminate links between murders and historical moments of social tension. And this is something that Yasmin Musherbash in her anthropological work focuses on, these times of change and upheavals being a time where monsters kind of show up or change or adapt and surface. So, and often to police the very people that created them. It's very strange that the whole monster theory is weird. It's getting weirder.
Pumpkinhead.
Yeah.
Very Pumpkinhead.
It's funny you say that, because I think I'm going to use Pumpkinhead.
The vengeful spirit.
As some example of something, because again, it's the overlap kind of gets crazy. But medicine and ritual, mimesis, this animal mimicry technique or witchcraft, some combination thereof, occurring during times of change, which we'll get into at some point, I'm sure. But Merz, or at least that list of related critters there, it seems like a pretty healthy phenomenon around the Horn. But back to Heniese's work in those Indo-Burmese borderlands, he wrestles with these same tales of leopard spirits, hybrid creatures, and witches, and for this region's, quote, widespread belief in therianthropes. And being born and raised in Nicaragua, this anthropologist immediately made the connection between what folks were experiencing in Southeast Asia and his local Volcadankan version, namely Nahualism, which is what we talked about the first episode I did. We were making that connection back to the Nahual. I went right to that as he did, and we talked about it in Tequila Rabbits too, which I'm sure he missed. But nobody's perfect.
Don't miss Tequila
He'll get
Rabbits,
it next.
man.
He'll get it next time. But Heniese explored the area's mythos to find, similar to many other places, we have this time in the past when maidens were said to have married tigers or even trees, and he notes a lot of the same parallel myths from around the world, as we have here in MLT with these progenitors we keep coming across. That
You can live in a tree.
Yeah, but to marry one, what happened to Janet, man? Well, she married a Douglas fir. It's like, it's down by the...
I've known some really cool trees.
No, it's true. Trees are probably, at this point, way better option than a man. I'm kind of with her on this one.
Yeah. I'm just glad I like women.
Yeah, but then she dumps the tree for a lumberjack. It gets ugly.
Although, even these days, the tree, it's not looking too bad.
No, I'm with you. I'm with her. I'm changing my whole opinion of this whole tree woman thing. Yep. But as promised, I found more on that clan of monkeys. I think I mentioned this, who marry women. Remember the Bantu Yeti episode? I mentioned in this episode earlier. Those monkey progenitors of the first clans of that region. It's more integral to Tibetan Buddhism mythos than I thought. Check this out. I just came across this kind of in my readings, so I'm kind of tangenting a little bit.
Okay.
But
we're really good at that here.
I'm very good at this here. But, quote, Lakshvara and Tara are kind of a divine archangelic couple, a father and mother of Tibetans. He is the mythic father of the nation, spring the first 6 Tibetans during a mythic life of Bodhisattva monkey in the prehistoric past. Later, he reincarnates repeatedly as the emperor, king, or lama, mentor, ruler of Tibet. She is the ever-present mother of the nation, a fierce female who unites with the monkey to bring forth the human children who start the race. Later, she serves as empress, queen, and defender of the ruler. She manifests numberless incarnations in every walk of life to help Tibetans overcome their difficulties and meet the challenge of making human life meaningful. That from Robert A. Thurman, Essential Tibetan Buddhism.
Wow. That's a big job.
Yeah, so it's Adam and Eve, but it's monkey and woman, anima, animus.
That is interesting.
Youngin.
It's almost like they're combining the more religious side creation myth with evolution in a way.
Right, and the reason I mention it again, just if you've missed that episode, Bantu, which is related to the Yeti, it's a monkey and a bear that are the teachers, and this relates back to that original clan, and it relates back to the creature teachers in the mountains who either train the next shaman or eat them, depending if they fail the test.
It's like man, bear, pig.
We do have an episode on man, bear, pig. So yeah, that's coming up soon. That's more chimeric. When we do chimeric stuff, we'll do that. But back to those Indo-Burmese borderlands, where a contractor personally told anthropologist Michael Heniese, this kind of captures the whole commonality of this whole were-tiger thing. Quote, even though we have big dogs in our compound, he reached the pens where we have rabbits and took them. I know it was a Tecumseh because I have felt his presence before. They have both the spirit of a man and the spirit of a tiger, and he moves like a shadow without making any noise. I felt he was following me. I don't have any problem with them. In fact, I know an old Chakhausang Tecumseh who lives in Kohima. So they know these people, they know who they are sometimes, and they don't actually have a problem with them. It's just part of the dealio of living in this area.
Yeah, it's like, don't look out the window at night if you live on the res.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of those things that you just have to deal with the critters in an area and get used to it. But Tecumseh were-tiger shapeshifting follows a lot of the same themes for this Angami tribe, like when you're dealing with a beast that might be a shaman or some other energetic entity in shapeshifting form. So it always seems to be one piece anatomically kind of anomalous, a tell, if you will.
The backward feet thing,
yes,
the big ears.
Exactly. And they can't change that. Jinn, it's the hairy legs. And for the
I can't change that legs. Either. I shave it and
it's
just
different.
Boom.
It's hairy goat, or hobbits, I guess, are just very extra hairy, But in this region, some of the cats have an extra digit on the paw. So, so that's the tell that they might be a shapeshifter. And again, per usual, the human can suffer the same injuries as the co-joined animal when on the prowl. We also find similar totem food taboos as well, and the whole village will even take the next day off work if a tiger is killed under orders from the local priests.
Huh.
I worked with Alex Bone back in the day. I feel
It's like a snow day.
but I feel like we would have used that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
We were like,
dude.
had the same cat kill. If the cat died,
You have a taxidermy tiger that
Yes.
you just drag out
We'll
into
get
the
it.
road.
oh, we got another one.
Like, dead tiger,
We
man.
got
No,
another
can't-
dead
can't work
tiger,
today.
man.
Can't work today.
See how the trickster takes advantage of all
Yeah.
situations. But there are also, as usual, strict ways to handle.
You know what happens if you do that, though, is a real tiger shows up and eats you.
I'm about to get to that.
Oh.
Jumping ahead. Because, yes, there's strict ways to handle.
Usually I start doing that right off the bat with your
I
episodes.
know,
It took me
you're
like an
slow.
hour to
You're
get
getting
ahead
slow,
of you this time.
man. You're getting slow.
Rusty. Definitely rusty.
But if you handle a dead leopard wrongly, you're exactly right. It can be a revenge sorcery kind of moment.
He'll pour some sugar on you, man.
Yep. Oh, you went back to the deaf leopard,
boy.
deaf leopard thing. Yeah, that we established though that he did not lose his arm due to a giant cat.
Correct.
I can say that.
Correct.
With good confidence.
For sure it was a car accident.
That's why I research with ChatGPT. But if you find
Yeah,
yourself,
that's the kind of answers you get.
but Heniese explains how you might throw the beast off the scent, so to speak. So if it won't avenge its killer from beyond the grave, the best way, if you have this if you find this dead leopard and you're worried that it's going to be a revenge sorcery moment, best way is to place the body in a running stream of water with the mouth kind of propped open with the incoming flow. The constant babbling allegedly loses the trail for the whole leopard ghost assassin thing. I'm not making that up. That's actually what they do sometimes to throw it off the track. This is the Tacoma Bay.
Flow through the dead cat.
Yep.
Basically.
Yep. And the Tacoma Bay, the
Crazy.
person who does change into these things, it apparently triggers swelling of the joints and pain in the lower back. So there's this, even though they're not, it's that they're sharing a spirit. It's
That
almost
sounds
like
like
a partial transformation because they're getting some of the same aches that maybe David Naughton had at American Werewolf in London kind of stuff.
Can I throw a little something in there for
Do
you?
it.
Those are the primary symptoms of autoimmune disease.
Ooh.
It's attacking your gut.
Yeah.
It
No,
all
I mean
that all
joints.
starts in the gut.
Well, this is joints.
Yeah, but when your gut goes bad with autoimmune stuff pretty much all starts in your gut biome.
Yeah.
And one of the main symptoms
Mhm.
of autoimmune disease is joint problems and lower back pain.
Yeah. So this is like
I also have a healthcare podcast.
chronic for werewolf syndrome.
Well, I mean, if you want to tie it into some real science type stuff,
Yeah, I do.
it's it's attacking your gut biome
Yeah.
specifically.
There you go.
If that's the main physical symptom onset, to me, that's energetically they're attacking your gut biome.
So
more
again,
than
back
anything.
to that microcosm, that relationality all the way down. Are bacteria organizing us to become werewolves?
Exactly, though. That's the kind of thing I'm getting at, though.
Well,
Yeah.
it's crazy, but it's
I mean, you
not.
mozified it real quick, but that's what I'm getting
Yeah,
at.
good time.
Conceptually, that's the sort of thing I'm talking about, yeah.
Dang. But back to Heniese and the social structures in place. He also has this he mentions, I hinted at this, a council of tigers. It's not a court I would ever want to appear in, but
Yeah.
they have this here's Heniese quoting from R. Sutter from 2008. It is a complete tiger world in which they, as tigers, make jokes, fight, marry, and sometimes even have families. So again, this brings it back to some people are just also tigers, and they have this whole community, like book club kind of things.
Yeah.
At the end of the spectrum of tiger and man is again almost a tiger-like deity named the Tokoro, prowling the forest, believed responsible for many jungle disappearances. This is more like the total spirit one, the Tacoma Bay. Heniese goes into depth into the work of the Eastring Kyre, a Naga poet and author who tells tale of such a godlike beast roaming the forest and devouring those who betray the tiger code or somehow offend these guardian-like spirits. So there's a kind of a Zanzibarian counterpart with that Shetani. The Tacoma Bay is more of the man and the tiger. The Shetani is just the spirit one from Zanzibar. So this one's closer to that, which I'm glad. I was glad to find kind of the same thing in different continents. I mean, we've got if you're going up the shifts we talked about, we've got the shaman kind of laying in bed and connecting with one's the eyes and living through vicariously through something. We have this changing where it's both more ontonic, where there's this pairing, and then we in both Zanzibar and the Amazon we find these actually just total big cat spirits, just roaming and eating and avenging kind of thing. So you got everything. Best defense for the Zanzibar leopard: you can cut out the throat and larynx or take out the claws to prevent black magic from any reprisal from the leopard owner or the leopard itself. Or for the were-tiger, informants recommends that stick, propping it up in the water, positioning the body in a stream. So it's this garbled, white, noisy camouflage piece. Dream team, though, I'm taking the Tiger King and Siegfried, not Roy, of course, for obvious reasons. And as usual, I'll be waiting.
Oh, no.
I will be waiting in the Jeep while you deal with the situation, because I ain't actually messing with any were-tigers.
Wow.
Not going to happen.
Nice.
It's just not going to happen. You can do it. You can go, here, kitty, kitty. Wander away from the Jeep. And, we'll have the GoPro running.
I have a best defense against the werecats.
There you go.
You ready?
Yep.
Mad Cujos.
Ah, down boy.
That's pretty good.
Huh?
That's pretty good.
Huh?
I like it.
Mad Cujos.
I like it. You're sticking a dog on a cat, and you're just going to sneak out.
And there's
you're
even
gonna
a bumper
You're going
for
to
it.
back up really slowly.
Yep.
Nice. Nicely done.
Get them. That's all I have to do.
There you go. Well done, sir. But let's wrap up the anthropology slant, as this discipline brought us most of this amazing information. I'm very excited that the anthropologists are doing so much work for the cryptozoology, because it's kind of a career ender if you do it wrong. I would say they're pretty brave with what they're doing.
It would be cool to see them all kind of swing that way a little bit.
Yeah,
Little
exactly. Just a little bit.
Not all the way, but a little bit.
But they're moving. That's what Merz called the ontological penumbra, stepping into the middle where we can see it from their perspective and ours, and kind of report back what you're seeing.
There's real science in the quantum, in the energetic, in these things that we don't know about yet that need to be researched.
And these folks are breaking that ground.
Right.
They
and
really
that's you got to accept the woo a little bit to get into that
Not the
stuff.
full woo-woo, just the woo.
Just one woo.
One woo will do.
Not woo-woo.
Yeah.
Just one woo.
Woo from Grimm. Just him.
Even just one O on the woo.
Well, that's, you got to,
That's more like a whoa. It's like a whoa.
I would do woo.
But they have to start going down some of these roads to look into these energetic things and these quantum things. It gets weird.
It does.
You can't help it. It's weird down there.
It is.
We have to research it somehow, and somebody has to have the courage to get the ball rolling.
Yeah. And I think Samantha Hurn, she deserves a lot of credit for getting this collection of folks together talking about. I mean, it's a phenomenal book. If you can get your hands on it, I recommend it highly. I'm going to quote it again on that note, actually. In many cultural contexts, which may, for the sake of simplicity, be classified as animist, it is generally recognized that humans and animals can move in and out of different species perspectives by temporarily taking on alien kinds of bodies. That's from Willerslev, 2004. Moreover, according to Willerslev, in relation to the Siberian Yugokirs in particular, this capacity to take on the appearance and viewpoint of another species is one of the key aspects of being a person. For many Amazonian peoples, interaction between animate beings are similarly governed, what Vivaraso de Castro terms perspectival multinaturalism, a process which allows for difference between these animate beings to be transcended via what might also be termed infer-subjective interactions. And that's from Hurn, 2012. For perspectival multinaturalism to work, all animate beings must recognize themselves and others as persons, but this personhood, as Cohn observes, 2007, depends on the ontological makeup of all concerned, which leads to creature-specific forms of personhood: jaguar personhood, vulture personhood, human personhood. So it's just a way most of the tribes of the past have other perspectives of this tying in with other animals.
Animals are people too.
Yeah, and there's some are both animals and people. So it gets, again, blurred. And when we get blurring, we get monsters. When we get blurring, we get tricksters.
I would like to be a little bit of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't that sound fun?
Yeah, well, I think we could be chimeric someday.
Yeah.
Especially if we cyborg out a little bit,
Ooh.
We'll get some attachments. I'd like to have...
Can I get like a centaur body where it like replace my legs with a horse?
There you go. I want to have like Mecha Godzilla missiles fire out of my hands.
There you go.
Because I get in a lot of trouble at bars It might come as a surprise to some of you folks, but
I wouldn't mind being a whale either. Is that a thing?
yeah, well, Mozart.
How far can we go with this?
Well,
Can you imagine a big humpback whale with just a little human head sticking off the?
well, I mean, right now, I think it was Xi and Putin and Modi were leaving the summit, and they were talking about just replacing organs forever so they can stay alive forever. That's what they're thinking about. They're not thinking about their people at all.
Though.
Well, I'm saying if anybody's going to be able to do it, it's going to be the leaders.
Oh, they're definitely trying to grow their clones of their own organs in labs and stuff, I'm sure.
I think it's going to be more like the fish tank in Futurama, as I think in their Futurama, but that's my opinion. So
yeah, we're meant to expire, man. That's just how it is.
I agree with you, and I think it's a mistake to unless you get asked by the right vampire.
The real thing is they're just making it worse on themselves, because the more you fear death, the worse your death is going to be for you.
Yeah, and the worse the next one might look like.
If you just stop fearing death, you can stop worrying about the whole damn thing.
What did Blue Oyster Cult tell us? History shows again and again how nature points out the folly of man. Godzilla. Oh, right, I meant the other one.
Godzilla.
But back to that last quote, that was actually, again, Samantha Hurn, Anthropology and Cryptozoology. Exploring encounters with mysterious creatures will be in the show notes. But again, the same therianthropic themes, different werebears down in Fraggle Rock. Boom, boom. But Hurn goes on to posit how many cryptid sightings might be chalked up to this perspectable multinaturalism, and she cites the work of, again, that's Viveros de Castro, 1998. But all of this very similar to the Merz's ontological presencing that we talked about, people merging with their animal totems and other people interacting or perceiving such interspecies cellular convergences. That's Ma's 2015, by the way. Cellular convergences. Interspecies. ISC, I guess. But shamanic visions, mystical experiences or crisis. But I want to remind listeners, for the most part, these are anthropologists we quoted tonight, not crazed podcasters like Maz and Jeremy.
People with PhD after their names and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But here's Samantha Hurn again, asking the big question, is Maz taking his medication as prescribed?
Well, I hope not. We want to be entertained today, Maz.
You told me I can't take my medication.
Not on recording days.
Not on recording days.
That's why editing is so difficult.
But this all comes back to what we talked about in some other episode, radical ontological openness. This field is also obviously paramount to the field of cryptozoology, but blurring lines and overlaps. I love that. Radical ontological openness. That's what we all need.
That's a great phrase in so many ways.
Yeah.
Radical ontological openness.
Yes.
That's almost like going to be my new mantra.
I call them perspectival pioneers, And here's another quote, and this one's going to come from, again, Samantha Hurn. This ontological turn has encouraged anthropologists to see that there are, in fact, multiple worlds, none of which is more real or valid than any other. As a result, the worlds of forests, Cohn, 2013, marine microorganisms, Helmrich, 2009, hyenas, Bayans Rock, 2015, and mushrooms, Singh, to name a few, but have become legitimate foci of anthropological attention. However, these non-human or other than human beings are more than just anthropological subjects. Indeed, these life forms think, feel, and respond to their worlds in ways which also influence the lives and therefore worlds of others, including humans interacting or engaging with non-human others, either through the scholarly process of participant observation or through shared coexistence, enables all participants in the interaction to shape and be shaped by the interaction and the others in it, a process Ingold and Paulson 2013 have termed biosocial becoming. And again, that's Hurn, and again we get this interspecies becoming, biosocial becoming, radical openness, and interspecies becoming. They all seem to be pointing to the same ever-merging, ever-twisting. This goes back to our monstrous microcosm episode, and the interrelationality all the way up and all the way down. Everything blurring and blending more than I ever thought.
It's very living energy and heart energy kind of stuff, too, which is stuff I've been reading on lately. Paul Pearsall, The Heart's Code, and Schenk and Russett, The Living Energy Universe. It's amazing how much this stuff sounds like that. And that's another case of these are people with PhDs and hard sciences, and they're looking into this whole energy side of things, and they're finding some really cool stuff.
Yeah, and they're making these studies that actually find significant results, and they're being ignored. And anybody who starts on this journey seems to come to the same conclusion. If you listen to folks who have covered stuff like this, they get more and more frustrated that we're finding some kind of an effect here. Why isn't that interesting? And
like
I would even say
statistically significant kind of things that have been repeatedly shown in real scientific testing and still getting ignored.
Yeah, Noetic Institute, Dean Radin's work. I mean, he comes to the billions and trillions of chance that's beyond chance, of decades of research that's just being kind of summarily dismissed by the Richard Dawkins of the world. You know,
because they already wrote the book.
Yeah.
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 They don't want somebody else to rewrite the book because they wrote the book already.
Yeah. You know,
that's the problem with science in today's culture.
Yeah, I agree. But Cohn is the guy I told you about with the forest reference, and Singh is the guy, the mycelium mushroom man. So if you're going to do forests, Cohn, if you're going to do just for your research. Do you know the mushroom man? The mushroom man, Jeremy?
Oh, I know the mushroom man.
He lives behind the Drury Inn. It's my understanding.
Do you know the Muffin Man thing comes from a very horrible story? I might have to do an episode on that.
I think you already Muffin Man this podcast.
I might have mentioned it before. I've definitely not really gotten into it. That's an episode at some point.
Oh, there you go. It's cool.
I put it on my
side trail.
Or side trail. I'm not sure how long of a story it is. I'll do my research on it and see what happens.
I actually found in the Merz, in Hern's work, that remember the bush beings I talked about, those little dwarf creature teachers, and I alluded that I thought they were creature teachers, but I only read the Were-Croc study. She has another chapter in Samantha Hurn's book where she discusses these enigmatic bush dwarf beings in West Africa.
The Pukwudgie type creatures.
The siyawesi. And they're basically creature teachers. They're wandering people off into the woods and teaching them. I think I mentioned that, but I was kind of shocked because she alluded to it in Were-Croc's, kind of felt it was creature teachery. And then,
actually, going back to your last episode, in episode 87 with the plant monsters and tree monsters and stuff, the tree spirits, maybe the Pukwudgie or the little bushmen or whatever you want to call them, the little pygmy people, maybe they're tree spirits.
Yeah.
Well, literally spirits of the woods. Well, they're like the Lorax.
They speak for the trees, but we did talk about whether they're elemental, whether they're demonic, whether they're the psych family. We have these common tropey kind of buckets that they go into, but the buckets all blur.
Yeah.
And, we've
that's
seen
the problem with us humans. We try to put everything into an individual bucket, but everything's one thing. And buckets don't really make sense.
Yeah. But they're starting not to. I'll say that.
Yeah. They stopped making sense to me a while ago.
I'm going to stop making sense. That was...
Talking Heads.
There you go. I knew
Psycho Killer, man.
Yeah.
Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Yep.
Oh, no, that was last episode. I'm sorry. I'm regressing.
This, one more time from Hurn, quote, in numerous ethnographic analysis of witchcraft, sorcery, shamanism, shape-shifting, spirit possession, occult apparitions, these fantastical beliefs, practices, sightings, and experiences constitute social facts, but for many ethnographers, they have also become lived realities. Favret, Saada, and Dullen, 1989, Stoller, 2013, and Turner, 2011, all famously underwent conversion experiences whilst researching witchcraft, sorcery, and healing rituals, respectively, when they found their lives inexplicably and irreversibly affected by the actions their informants or by what they experienced. And we also see that...
It's funny how often people set out to disprove something and just end up convincing themselves that they believe it.
Yeah.
It happens with God. It happens with Bigfoot. It happens with all kinds of stuff. It's another very human kind of thing. Is you start out, you really want to disprove something, but by trying to do so, you end up believing it.
I agree, but I also think the deep dive itself is part of the quantum process. This abyss staring is a problem. It's this self-reflexive awareness. When you start to point a finger at the abyss, points back.
Yeah.
And I think we've seen some of that while we've done this podcast to some degree, and we'll discuss that in an upcoming Us File at some point. But I also think that Jeremy Narby had a similar experience where he went in and did, the folks who do ayahuasca, the Graham Hancock, folks who study something and then also participate that next level in the shamanic experience.
Right.
Like if you think about the first anthropologist watching all these people take a drug
and then not doing it with
them and trying to relay that.
You got to do it with them to know what they're doing, man. Just watching them is not going to tell you anything.
Yeah. And George Hansen's Trickster and the Paranormal kind of captures what goes on with some of this weirdness when you John Keel or you study owls too long or some of these other things. Lots of folks get caught into this belief system vortex that comes out of this. And I said...
Into the maelstrom.
I warned you when we started this might happen to some degree. I said it's going to get weird if we start studying this stuff too much.
You were right.
But radical...
The owls thing, dude.
Yeah, it really happened to us, and we don't know why we always say
that's
owls.
Always going to itch at my brain a little bit, that whole owls thing.
Yeah, and I have to say, as the center of that vortex, I did see a lot more owl. Like everywhere I went.
Oh, crazy for a while.
Crazy. And you kind of got that next band of the eye of the storm where you saw a lot was going on. But it was weird. I'd just say that it was beyond random chance.
Oh, yeah.
Here's Hurn, hopefully for the last time, quoting her a lot tonight. The demonization of liminal beings such as Siyawesi, Merz, and Mermaid Schmidt, who are seen as dangerous and at times specifically satanic, is also instructive. And both Hai's Chono, wolf people, and Merz's Siyawesi are divine messengers sent to try and instill or regain order or to act as mediators between humans and the non-human realm. That's just a rundown of some of the anthropologists in other chapters who ran into this same variations of the same weird ontological shit's neck.
There's that spirit go-between again, too, that you were talking about.
Yeah.
Where, they have almost like they got to go through the proper channels to communicate.
Yeah, and the other one, and we're going to do a trickster one, that's why it's kind of ramping up to that. The middle ground is the trickster. That's the mediator between the gods and man.
Where does that leave us? That our only way to communicate with the next level up is straight trickster.
Yeah, I know. And invoking the trickster archetype is dangerous, and our friends have done that, and that's why we want to discuss that coming soon. And it's more entwined with monsters than you would ever believe, or I did before I studied it. So
it's making me think about the side trail. I got a new Us Files for the side trail that gets very weird.
Oh, there you go. Weird as
there may be some trickster type stuff involved, but we'll talk about that when we get there.
Yeah, we bumped my very important side trail that I couldn't actually find in the file. But you had something you wanted to do. So thank you for having a weird event happen to you.
I have a very fresh from last weekend fresh.
There you go.
As of this recording. Nice. Something very strange happened to me and my friends in a cave.
Nice.
That's all I'm going to say for now.
I don't think you should say more, period.
Okay. No side trail there.
No side trail. I'll find my file. Thank you very much. But this shaman, monster, trickster, creature, teacher overlap must be addressed. I'm working on a thesis. And now that we're going to either change the world with this cryptozoology, or I want to change it to cryptoid zoology, because
cryptoidology.
Way more cryptoidologists. I mean, cryptoid type of situations than there seems to be actual. But we're finding both. So for you monster fans out there, real creatures are in the woods. This is more than psychology, in my opinion. It's somewhere between psychology and the snuffleupagus. No, that's a bad example.
Well, there's a lot of implication for kind of like thought form sort of stuff as well, which we've also talked about in a number of episodes at this point. We've touched upon it anyway here and there, but the whole concept that we create our own monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to get into that. And I think we can create things. It comes down to, are you a shaman that it's like the Siddhis, if you're Buddhist and you have this magical powers and you're this being of power and you can transition into something and other people can see it? or there's a group manifesting things at the corners of their societies. There seems to be, the answer may be both.
Well, yeah, there may be different ways to conjure the monsters, so to speak. Once again, it's very Pumpkinhead.
I'm more of a both guy than neither. That's crazy.
I'm more of a both guy as well.
Which is
I
crazy.
think there's multiple approaches. It's just you got to learn how to. Again, it's an energetic thing, and to me, it's just learning how to properly harness energy. It's like Tesla when he almost shook the building apart.
Yeah,
you know that story. He had the little oscillator.
Yeah.
And he figured out the vibration frequency of the bricks in the building, and he just put the little oscillator there. And after a while, it started vibrating so bad the building almost fell down.
Yeah, almost.
It would have if they hadn't stopped
shut it off. Yeah.
And and he's like, that was like the simplest thing anyone could build one of those simple little things and put it in the building and knock it down.
Really
it's
doing
just energy. It's frequency.
When you take the buzz out of our podcast, what are you really doing?
Yeah, exactly.
And is it legal?
I'm stabilizing it.
Yeah, because if we kept the buzz, we could collapse our brains.
Then people really wouldn't want to listen to us.
I get it. From a psychology theory perspective, here's Pascal Boyer and others have argued, quote, the same psychological apparatus used for making sense of biological reality underlies our conceptualization of the super and paranatural worlds. And that again, last time, Samantha Hurn, 2017, Anthropology and Cryptozoology. I'm reading some of Bernardo Kastrup's work right now, and I hope to tie in some of the analytical idealism to this phenomenon. More to come on that, on potentially in an episode coming to you. But citing the work of Shanjiki, 2007, Heniese states, Anagami belief about the Tecumseh straddle two worlds, the world of human waking reality and a very different, seemingly mythological one, a vast universe of spirit, signs, and omens, ... This world acts as a repository of knowledge, housing historical, religious, and moral teachings, accessible through dreams, or in the telling of folk tales, the singing of songs, the enactment of rituals, in some cases through divination. But it sounds a little like the Akashic Record, young psychoid layer, and this shared experience that we have some part of our
the
souls.
Oneness of all things. Yeah. We're all part of the same energy.
But the dream part gets weirder and deeper, and young synchronicity is never far behind, at least when Neil Jungians pop up here. But speaking of big dreams, for this next bit, I will tell you who actually had this experience at the end. Who had this dream is kind of the punchline.
Okay.
So you have to figure out.
Do I have to guess? Can I guess before you say? Are you going to explain the dream?
You can say it right now. Just let's see if we can do a Dean Radin Entangled Mind moment.
Before you tell me about the dream?
Yeah, I'm just going to look at you, and you have to think about
who had the dream.
Who had the dream?
Mr. Rogers.
Okay. We thought we had an entangled mind just because we have entangled jokes, but we don't apparently. But no, this is from Stranger Magic by Marina Warner, and just think about who might this be. You might not get it. It's really hard, but at the end, we'll look at you and you'll be embarrassed again. Quote, I finally fell asleep and dreamed I was walking along a village road, ... I began to notice that people were looking behind me fearfully. Rushing in their huts as I passed, I heard the growl of a leopard and started to run into the forest, tripping over roots and stumps and vines, till at last I couldn't run any longer and I fell to my knees in the middle of a bright clearing. Panting for breath, I turned around to see the day turned into night, and a giant figure looming as tall as the trees, wearing only a loincloth and a ghostly mask. The lifeless eyes bored into me, and I heard a thunderous voice saying only that it was time. My entire body began to shake violently with a sound as if I were breaking apart.
Wow.
Yeah.
Winston Churchill.
This took place in Africa, is your only other hint.
Winston Churchill.
Barack Obama.
That was Barack Obama?
Yeah. He describes a shamanic-like dream when visiting Luo Township in Africa, where his father hailed from. So basically he went back to his heritage, has this weird
that's like
big cat.
That's an
big
ancestral
dream.
Spirit reaching out right there.
It is time, it is time,
That's wild.
So what it reminded me of right away was, anyway, before I get to that, equally as strange and quite randomly, while researching the Trickster episode of Mary Douglas's Purity and Danger, I came across the Muslim notion of baraka. I know not the exact spelling. It's close, but it means it's a Muslim concept. Mana and Islamic baraka exude from official positions regardless of the intention of the incumbent. They're either dangerous power to strike or benign powers for good. There are chiefs and princes exerting mana or baraka, whose merest contact is worth a blessing and a guarantee of success.
Mana is life energy. They're
Correct.
talking about life energy.
But they're connecting it to baraka.
Well, they're a fount of life energy, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like a walking vortex.
There you go. So Douglas is basically saying
I could see that about Barack Obama.
baraka and mana as being kind of a connection there. But what I thought of first time was Black Elk Speaks. Per John Neihart, when Black Elk, a pivotal Lakota medicine man, initially failed to heed the call and convey his vision to his people, he didn't relay his main vision to his people for like 12 years. And during that time, the tension mounts, because he was like 9, I think, when he had the vision.
No.
So he was not ready to share it.
Yeah, you don't know what to do with anything when you're 9.
Exactly. But here's Black Elk's vision. And if you listen to what the other quote from Barack Obama, this isn't that. I mean, that one had more of a big cat theme to it with jaguars.
We all
but
come
this
from
one,
the same place.
there you go. But quote, terrible time began for me then, and I could not tell anybody, not even my father and mother. I was afraid to see a cloud coming up, and whenever one did, I could hear the thunder beings calling to me, behold your grandfathers, make haste. I could understand the birds when they sang, and they were always saying, it's time, it's time. The crows in the day and the coyotes at night all called and called to me, it's time, it's time, it's time. ... In a sacred manner you shall walk, your nation shall behold you. There's some similarities there between these big dreams, as they call them. You know, that's kind of what I
Big dreams. Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
yeah, I think they're big dreams. But it's also the Lakota kind of lost their way because of what we did here when we got here. And Obama, in some ways, you know, now that we look at this, is also a struggling country at this point, struggling world. And these were both not enough. These were big dreams that in some ways didn't manifest as well as we would have hoped. You know, it's almost like, you know, we're losing to the Wedico, like insert your favorite issue, problem, plot, complication. You know, the Destructor from Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
I just thought the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man just popped in my head. Something from my childhood. It can never harm us. But it does seem like these big dreams in both of these cases, in some ways, just weren't enough to save the people.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, Black Elk Speeds is an amazing book. If you haven't read it, really recommend it. And we all know what happened after the Obama administration. You know?
Yep.
So,
Still going.
Still going. But to wrap this up, because admittedly we strayed from these cats a bit, but it's interesting how thunder beings keep rolling in. I would like to, if things keep rocking and rolling.
Did you say thunder beings?
I said thunder beings. Well, that was what Black Elk, he heard a thunderous voice, Barack Obama, and the thunder beings were specifically what Black Elk was talking about. But I'd like to do an episode on thunder and lightning at some point, electromagnetic monsters.
Yeah, thunder gods.
Thunder gods. That's what I hope to do. For the shamanic shapeshift complex, gotta give it a shout out. Start with those Zanzibar leopards. The mechanism of how this relationship between the person, the leopard, and this intermediary possessory spirit is intriguing. Details on the rest of this dynamic is lacking. Obviously, more is going on with regards to this enmeshment. How much can the leopard owner see what the leopard sees? And yes, shapeshifting may occur, but is this for the most part? You know, it's just sketchy and blurry. But back to Roy Ellen's comment on that forward, ontological blurring. Where does one entity end and the other begin? And this is a different kind of arrangement than we're used to. You know, again, this Mashitini and this, you know, this middle, the Shatani is just the spirit, but this Mashatini is this middleman that we have to figure out what might be happening.
It's very quantum-y.
It's very quantum.
Because it's, you know, the duality of the particle and waveform that we find at the base levels of our physical existence.
Yep.
You know, is that what we're dealing with? It's, you know, you're communicating through the actual waveform. You know, you're kind of dissociating from your particle to become the wave.
Every time we do this podcast, I do that.
I've been dissociated from my particle for quite some time.
Yeah, we're trying to get that back. But I did do a deep dive in Shaitani, so I know a little bit. I was kind of intrigued by this, so I've explored it a little further. And it does have that fear of contagion kind of aspect to it. It strikes horror and panic into this region. It's a spirit. It's a shapeshifter, but it's also not only just big cat related. It's linked back to the Popoboa, but they associate this with an evil spirit, or Swahili for bat wing. So the story goes a little bat squatchy. It's like big cat, but then, if you look back into it, it's actually bat squatchy. Per good old Wikipedia, these outbreaks only go back 60 years or so. Inhabitants of Zanzibar believe the darkness is supposed to have arrived from the nearby island of Pemba. Some believe the origins of this evil intruder dates back to a sheik in the 70s who became enraged with the locals and thus summoned a vengeful jinn.
Oh, boy.
So somewhere Rosemary Ellen Guiley's nodding. So it also goes a little jinny.
It's the whole summoning something you can't control, too, huh?
Well, he was mad, so he did this, but it ended up being bat squatch. It ended up transforming into this mediary between the people, the shaman, and the jaguar. But it started off a little bit more bat squatchy, but it started off on an island with a sheik who visits and gets angered.
Yeah. I believe Bat Squatch is episode 33, if I remember right.
There you go. So how this Tecumseh or Naga leopard or tiger man really ties into shamanism becomes clearer when the anthropologist Michael Heniese discussed how the soul transfer occurs, and it sounds kind of astrally to me. The Tecumseh one is that shift 3, where we're doing more of this shaman summoning tiger stuff. But here's Heniese explaining how this works with the were-tiger, shift 3 variety. This is when a shaman and a beast are kind of sharing a soul for a time and can see through each other's eyes. Tecumseh would often spend days at a time in their darkened homes asleep and engaged in soul travel, living and interacting with other spirits through the bodies of animals, which may be hundreds of kilometers away. ...
That's so waveform.
As with this testimony, I included the introduction of Sanctum Tecumseh. The time of transformation is engaged in a kind of soul transfer with a leopard, where the man's body remains untransformed and the man's spirit or soul is channeled in a sort of deep dream state, becomes fully engaged in the actions of the non-human animal. The body of the man may be lying in bed at home, moves convulsively and shifts around as the tiger or leopard moves about into the forest and fields outside. Same thing we were talking about.
I need to yuck myself a raven.
Yeah. I've never heard anybody say that before.
Yeah, can't say that anymore.
But the story of the Tecumseh does get somewhat physical for the intended victim, as to repeat Hennessy's quote, citing J.H. Hutton, that such possessions, quote, are often accompanied by swelling and severe pain in the knees and elbows, as we talked about, as well as pain in the small of the back, depending on the level of activity of the tiger or leopard. So this is more entwined than just a dream. If there's physical aching, and again, if you can be injured.
Sharing spirit, like literally sharing spirit with the animal.
It's closer to that ontonic relationship with were-crocodiles that we thought.
It feels like a wonderful thing. I would very much like to experience that.
Turning into a were-cat.
Sharing a spirit with a big cat.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I'll do that part, and you can just do the aftermath with rubbing, the THC on your joints, and you just deal with the aftermath of that shit. How about that? We'll break it up that way.
Nope.
On that note, though, on that very note, comes a prepared joke alert. Yeah, they never work well, so now, this is Jeremy's idea in a business meeting. We have had one business meeting.
Well, you have to warn me so I don't come across the table at you.
Well, they don't generally work, so I'm just warning people. But this is the joke. If several scientific teams are studying marijuana's effectiveness on decreasing knee and elbow pain during a lycanthropic transformation, would that be considered joint research? Never. Yes is the answer to that. This one's...
No, because you're rubbing on ointments and probably doing edibles. You're not smoking joints.
That's really... Yeah, but it's still joint related. But here, this one's worse.
It would be gooey ganja gel.
Chewy Similarly, while searching for the Yeti, cryptozoologists discovered that mountaineer voyeurism reached its peak in 1979. You do have to spell the middle peak differently, so it doesn't work as well in a podcast.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
okay.
better written.
Yeah.
So, okay. So this is why
way to bring
we have an alert.
Way to
now.
bring a written joke to an audio podcast. Moz.
I have like several of them. It's just most of them I know aren't going to work.
Yeah.
For the to
But
come,
you tell them anyway.
I'm not going to stop. That's the fun part. Join, peak. Yeah, that's what the owls were saying to each other. Out, join, peak. Yep, yeah. For the Tacoma Bay, a spontaneous acquisition of the powers is common and usually occurs at a young age. More often than not, means an ancestor of the individual once had this ability. Such combinations can become an almost ontonic type relationship, as we talked about, where they share Kabotica and Matamake, back to that shift 4 stuff. You don't need that Pengu charm anymore. You just need to point the laser pen right at the person you want the jaguar to attack.
Just got to focus.
Just focus. China has a new big... Did you hear about that? They have a big laser, the biggest laser in the world. China just unveiled.
Good for them.
So if the Pacific Rim thing happens again,
what are we
they're ready for the kaiju.
What are we going to do with that?
Amazing things. They're going to do amazing things.
Okay.
Well, they might. But there is an informant Heniese spoke to that describes this acquisition of a totem leopard or tiger very much like that Arctic version of Inuit shamans through the work of Nun Rasmussen. Kamave gradually goes through this totemic acquisition process, sometimes starting with insects, moving to squirrels, gradually ebbing towards the apex predators in the jungle, the leopard or the tiger. It does sound very much like what we've talked about with Kushtaka and some of the Arctic shapeshifters, some of the other episodes.
Yeah.
But there are more powerful were-tiger men that seem to have more in common with the mythical version of the Tukaro, the counterparts of these even more spirit than human versions that would be, like the Shatani back in Zanzibar. Heniese relays the Agami story that in a way parallels a kept leopard. 2 men threaten their grandfather's tiger. If we see it near our village again, we'll shoot it kind of thing. The story goes, this angered the grandfather, and upon heading back to the village, the 2 men who had threatened the cat heard thunder and then heard trees being uprooted all around them. And then a giant, magnificent tiger descended on them. And they never arrived back at their village.
Wow.
More Thundercats, Jeremy. Remember them?
Yeah, of course. I was actually trying to not jump on that because I figured we'd get to it, but you said thunder and then werecats right after, and I'm like, oh, dude.
Thundercats.
Oh, how about, here's a best defense too for you. How about Lion-O's sword?
Ooh, that's the main dude, right?
Yeah.
The main Thundercat.
That's the one that calls the Thundercats, the sword.
Nice.
Thundercats.
Ho! Yeah.
Yeah, that's how, by the power of, no, that's
Grayskull.
That's He-Man.
He-Man. Yeah.
It's just Thundercats Ho, right?
Yeah.
I got to remember my childhood cartoons.
So remember, kids, those Thundercats, hoes.
I watched the Thundercats every day before school for 8 years in a row.
Did you know that is actually a Bass Rankin produced cartoon? That's the same.
That's the Heat Miser guy.
Yes. So it links back
That's
to my
the evil
Christmas
Tooth
special.
Elf guy.
Yeah.
You're not going to talk about the Tooth Elf again, are you?
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Not Deer.
This is episode 60 and 17.
So basically, we can tie the Thundercats into my whole Christmas ruining special.
Nice.
Eventually.
Nice.
We have more work to do here.
Oh, yeah.
We're not done.
It's going to be your turn to ruin Christmas again this year, by the way.
I'm fine with that. But the Tukaro, then an ordinary tiger transformation. Basically, shift 1 through 5, we've covered most of them tonight. So everywhere we go.
There's all different levels of this stuff.
Yeah, there seems to be just the dude, and then there's a dude who has some powers, and there's a dude who can listen in, and then there's a dude who can transition to, and then there's this great, magnificent demon force spirit, good or bad.
This is your laser analogy. How focused is your laser? Because the more focused your laser,
TMI.
The higher level you can get to, or the farther down the Maz's shift scale you can get, or whatever.
It's a spectrum. It's the specters of consciousness is my term.
Yeah.
That's a Maz term. So, but it brings us to our Aho Guano, by the way.
Ooh, Aho Guano theory of the week.
Oh no, here it comes. Quick, to the batshit signal.
Since the Zanzibar leopard is believed to be extinct, doesn't it make sense that even if the physical cat is gone, This hybrid spirit being is still stalking the jungles a little bit longer, the shift 4, shift 5 stuff.
Yeah, buddy.
Shamans turning into beasts, or just these powerful, magnificent, elemental creatures.
Spirits of the land.
Exactly.
Echoes of the beast.
I have another one.
Ooh, Echoes of the Beast.
That's a good name for a book. Bone would probably write a book called
go.
that. But Aho Guano 2, remember that Teresa Bain Sine, those jaguar shapeshifters, product of, the hybrid monstrosities from Brazilian folklore. Sine was born in the union between a woman and a gigantic jaguar. Remember those? I mentioned them earlier. But that skin removal piece, as part of the transformational process, surfaces again, but the ancient eyes appeared set back, is what she was saying.
Yeah, back of the head kind of thing, like super sunken eyes is the image I got.
I was thinking,
were the eyes actually on the back of the head?
Well, I think they're super sunken, and they're looking at it as an ancient look. Wouldn't an ancient look also tie in with something that, if you're talking about the witness and stepping back into yourself, and something that is seeing all of it as it truly is, kind of more that Eastern philosophy?
Yeah.
So maybe these things are not the wild
they're
creatures.
empty-socketed. Maybe that's the black-eyed kids right there.
Well, that's not what I was getting at. If I was getting more at the observer, the witness, stepping back in yourself, and more of the Eastern. It's kind of more the guru-y. So this is a powerful being that you're coming in contact with, not a black-eyed.
It's a true manifestation of the waveform. It's not an individualized ego like we are. It's kind of what you're saying.
You're going to have to say that again really slowly.
It's a higher level energy form that isn't like we, in our capacity as human, we're still part of the one big thing that all things are a part of, but we individuate into a personalized ego, right? What you're saying, this ancient being that is tapped in, I picture that as they're not individuated into the phenomenal realm or the physical realm like we are, and they're not individuated egotistically. They're very knowingly and willingly a part of the one thing. They don't, they're not their own thing.
Yeah, no, I get you.
In their own mind. You know what I mean?
They're still tapped in to everything, but it could be.
They're like Q. They're Q.
There's two ways to look at it.
For all you millennials out there, next generation fans, they're Q.
Just to get it to the next level weird, though, there's two different ways to look at that. There's the Q that maybe is connecting to all this stuff as an ancient, but that's an evil ancient, because Q is still more of a trickster. He's total trickster.
Total trickster.
But there's another way to look at it. If it's just tied in with nature, that's Neumann's the terrible mother, and that's basically the Ouroboros, and that's when things just eat each other, and that's the apex of that, undifferentiated, not really something that's, it's a kind of a pre-egoic slumber is what Wilbur would say, more than something that's totally, so it could be either or. Could be something,
though, yeah,
but it could be something totally just harnessing all of the nature aspect, or something that has access to everything as some kind of super being. It could be either, and I don't know. The sunken eyes was just it's a thing I've never heard before. Sunken in eyes.
Yeah,
I've heard the one eye.
It makes me think of the looking. When you look into the eyes of the monster and you just see the void.
Yeah.
That's what that makes me think of.
Yeah.
When they said it that way.
Yeah, and we came across that when we did skin. Oh, you're drinking. I can't do this.
Walkers.
You did that. That's payback for the full beer in my mouth when you did
I tried it.
Oh, you did the buzz check when I was trying to get a buzz.
Yeah.
So you were unbuzzing my buzz. That's bad too.
I'm unbuzzing the buzzies.
Yeah, don't do that. But yeah, I feel like we should move on. At this point. But anyway.
I don't even know where we are.
Yeah, I agree with you. But Richard Scully Muggles, Skeptics Review.
Sir Richard Scully Muggles, Skeptics Review.
You're full of crap, and that's the nicest thing that I can say.
Epistemology means the study of knowledge through reasoning and experiential means. But basically, how we know things epistemologically is so muddled when we climb into this wild were-creature menagerie, really demands my new favorite phrase, that radical ontological openness. When I'm addressed...
I love that phrase. I really do.
Yep. When I'm dressed like a Catwoman at those clubs, it's kind of the same thing. But best related line this week comes from the law offices of Walsh and Goldman again. That does sound
what?
Well, Walsh and Goldman were the two anthropologists who just sound more like a law firm, in my opinion.
Okay, fair enough.
But, quote, cryptozoology flourishes in this epistemological abyss. Yes. I prefer the epistemological or the ontological taint is probably.
When you think into the abyss, does it think back?
It does. It thinks a variation of what you said,
Yeah.
deeper and in a vibration that will make you insane,
And that's
like Lovecraft.
And that's how you create a thought form of your own monster.
There you go. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a feedback loop that gets out of control. And that
Yep.
is one theory. But this has at the heart of it is this demon haunted world stuff. It won't end anytime soon. Is why I feel like these anthropologists and these folks doing the good work are actually kind of breaking through this barrier that we can't seem to break. Dean Radin has been, and people like him have been banging on this door for a long time, and nobody wants to look, and it infuriates me because it's good science. It means things are weird. Why don't you want to look? And at least in this area, we're having some headway into how people sit down with tribes for a decade and then write about them.
Yeah.
It's progress. I'm very impressed with how they've handled this.
Yeah, I agree. I've seen a lot of good things coming in some different fields as well.
Yeah. But from the Scully Muggle side, I feel like they would just say there hasn't been any Zanzibar leopards. Were creatures aren't real, Mulder. That's all I keep here saying. I don't have any specific things to add from the Scully Muggle realms.
Sure.
I'm not in the mood
Well,
today.
it's honestly, I think pointing out that there's real scientists using real science to start looking into things connected to all this is a great way to do the skeptics review, because the skeptics are becoming a little less skeptical.
Well, I don't.
Because there was a time when there was no one, like you weren't allowed to be a scientist and talk about the woo. But now they're starting to realize there's, at least some things, some elements that have always been considered just weird that they have to now start realizing are part of what's going on and have to be scientifically approached.
That's the ontological penumbra Merz is talking about, between woo and woo. You're between woos right now.
Right. That hyphen between the woo-woo?
Yeah, that's where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're the hyphen between the woos.
We're the hyphen between the woos.
Ooh.
Row.
What a spot to be in. We're totally just went full on Scooby-Doo.
Whoa. Sure is spooky in here.
Yeah.
Well, that brings us also then to Wolfman Puck's culinary
always my favorite.
corner. Yeah.
Wolfman Puck's scripted culinary corner.
Your entree, sir. Smells good.
So there's always a cannibalism theme running through these things. I thought about hosting a
Only when you do them.
I don't know. It's the same thing, but I wanted to have a lecture luau, but instead I scratched that idea, and I want to bring my Italian heritage into this a bit, and I'm making kept lep lasagna. Now, since I don't really want to spoil this authentic Italian dish with cat meat, I'm going to use the Shaitani spirit leopard as my basket ingredient. So I'm just going to make lasagna with a totemic demonic kind of twist. Maybe you curse the regatta cheese or something. I'll be pairing the lasagna, or not lasagna, with Big Cat malt liquor, a Pabst product that I had not heard of until I looked this up. Now hear me out though. Zanzibar complicates the beer selection because they don't allow alcohol on this island. So you can drink at the hotel basically, but generally it's not a thing to drink in Zanzibar, believe it or not. So we're going to dine out, but chow down with a couple of brown bags stuffed with delicious and nutritious malt liquor products, kind of like we did back in the day in the alleys of
Brown
Flagstaff.
bagging, man.
Or brown bagging. We can also knock some sticks together during dinner.
Wait, so we're
See
just
a
going
Sasquatch.
to hang out in an alley and get boozed?
Well, eat my kept lep lasagna, which is just lasagna, because I don't want to put cat in it.
Yeah.
I really don't.
So we're just
don't wanna
eating
do it.
lasagna and drinking 40s.
Does that sound amazing right now?
Kind of sounds good. I haven't had good lasagna in a while.
I don't think you beat that.
I don't know how it applies.
It's going to be day-old lasagna, too, so it's going to be even better.
Oh, man, I'm so unprepared for this.
Yeah.
I am going to serve 9 lives and saucers of milk.
So, which is very kitsune of you, because
Yeah.
they have these 9 tails, and there's 9 lives of our cats on this
Exactly,
side. There's after a
exactly.
century, you get the kitsune that has 9 tails. So,
Yeah.
it's very, very cat oriented with the saucer milk. I
Yeah.
can envision it.
Yeah.
You know, I think lasagna and some malt liquor product sounds way better, but you know, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to, you know.
Yeah, but I'm feeding the cats.
Yeah.
We're supposed to feed the cryptids,
You
aren't we?
say that, but we're trying to see if we had to cook what we're hunting. If we catch it, what do people do when they catch something? A lot of people
You
cook
should
it.
eat it.
Yeah, it's the right thing to do.
We don't really hunt predators, though.
Yeah,
That's
well,
the thing.
if they're
Big cat's a
doing
predator.
things on the edge of town, they're causing trouble. If they're a leopard that has a little too much bling, as we discovered, you gotta maybe take things in your own hands a little bit, you know. But we're not killers. It's true. We're
What-
not hunters.
What was the bad guy's name in Thundercats? Was that Mumra? What was his name? The mummy dude.
Mumra.
The mummy dude.
Mumra, the
Remember he's a
mummy
mummy
guy.
dude?
Mummy
I'm
guy.
going to catch him and cook him up and feed him to the cats. How about that? Is that better?
And what does that do? What is Mumra?
He was the bad guy. He makes me a hero to the Thundercats. And then maybe I can get Lion-O's sword.
You don't get cats and
See?
mummies together. That's like a terrible Egyptian hieroglyph right there. Something's going to go terribly bad with cats and mummies.
Yeah, that's what the whole show Thundercats was about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You win.
Nice. I just
Still
talked
want
until
some
I won.
lasagna.
That's how I was like a lawyer. I just talked until I won.
Yeah, Walsh and Goldman. Law offices of Walsh and Goldman.
Fair enough.
But yeah, so that's what I got today.
Cool.
Any last
thank you,
thoughts?
I'm going to look at the mountain lions around here a little different now, maybe.
Back to the Tennessee one, the Wampus cat,
Yeah.
mountain lion and woman. So we still have that, a little hint of that shapeshiftery goodness here.
And I really like how much it got into like the energetic, slash physical being type thing where it's kind of passing between the realms.
Yeah.
Because it fits in with the big cat mythos so well. Because even here in Arizona, with the mountain lion, cougar up in northern Arizona, Navajo and Hopi and stuff, they consider the mountain lion more ghostly than physical. They see it more as a spirit
Right.
than an
Chindi.
actual animal, because you don't see one unless it wants you to.
Right.
Like, they're the sneakiest damn thing. And they're huge.
Yeah.
They're like they can be like 9 feet long.
Yes.
And they're the sneakiest thing.
Yeah.
Like, they can literally sneak right up behind you,
Yeah.
and you wouldn't
That's the
even
way
know
they
it until they
attack.
breathe on your neck.
That's why they will be on your neck at that point.
Right,
generally.
exactly. Like, that's the first time you know they're there is when their teeth are sinking into you.
Do you know where we
And they're
are
huge.
geographically? We're between the mountain lion of Sedona and Flagstaff and the Mogollon Rim and the jaguar coming up from Mexico, which has
Yeah.
been seen as
Yeah.
close as here almost. So we're right between mountain lion and jaguar.
So what you're saying is we should get the hell out of here.
No, we're tricksters. This is the safest place to be. We're tricksters, and they're not
okay.
quite. The jaguar hasn't quite reached this development,
We hide in the
and
middle.
the mountain lion hasn't quite reached down to this development.
So we're hiding in the middle.
Yeah, that's what you do.
fair
Betwixt
enough.
and between.
Well, we're going to get the hell out of here anyway. So if you enjoy what you hear, please hit the like and subscribe. Make sure to keep up with the Monster Lore Tour as we roll along here. Maybe take a moment, think of a friend, and hit that share button before you go.
Or hit the sunny button.
We're on all the audio platforms. We are on YouTube. We are the YouTube actually has remastered early episodes. It's behind
George Lucas did that.
release wise, but the earlier episodes have much better quality there. So if you want to start back at the beginning, best place to do it is YouTube. We've got a Patreon, patreon.com/monsterloretour. If you want to tell us your story, come on for an interview or anything like that, you can email us at monsterloretour@gmail.com. I don't know. Anything else, Moz?
Nope.
All right. Well, until the next time, to all our fellow paranerdalists out there, have a good one.
Oh, shit. Beer.
This has been a Shut Up production.